Recording in progress. All right.
I want you to keep that into some episode.
I will. Good morrow, adventurers, and welcome to our podcast, a show that discusses all things Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy genres. We are your co-hosts, Katie and Mandy. We have a fun topic for tonight with the ways we make playing Dungeons and Dragons work online and how we make it fun. All righty. So when we first started playing Dungeons and Dragons, we were in person, much different feel. At least for me, it felt much different than it does now. How about you?
There was an adjustment where it felt different, especially before we learned how to use virtual tabletops, and Chris really got better at, not that he was ever bad, at Hero Forge, right? So
Yes.
minis and stuff. I think there was a transition period where we learned how to do this, how we learned how to RP without being on top of one another.
Yeah, that was really hard.
Virtually. So it doesn't actually feel that different to me now, but in the beginning, it really did.
That's true.
I think also at least in the beginning, it felt different because we brought in a new player pretty close to when we switched virtually. Are there things that you miss about being at the table? Is there I miss being at the table just because that meant we were near you guys and we could hang out and eat dinner together and all that fun stuff. But are there things specifically about being at the table that you miss?
I do miss rolling actual physical dice. That's really fun. But go ahead and show all of yours. The clickety clacks. You can't. So
I only have one set on my desk at a time.
That's surprising. That's true. I guess if you tried to have all of them on your desk, it would
fill up my entire desk and I wouldn't be able to work. So,
I also really miss what's the word? The tabletop stuff that Chris would make, the little figures, and what is the word I'm looking for?
You had to ask because I knew it until you said it. My goodness.
I know. I can't.
Train.
Thank you.
Train. He texted me.
Did he really?
Yeah.
So we'll have to put a little DM counter in parentheses text.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
So I missed that just because it was always fun to see what Chris came up with. And it's also just another way to really immerse yourself in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But texting me, you're not welcome. That's what he said.
Wow. DM counter number 2.
What I get for being sarcastic. I actually miss the little side conversations you and I used to have while we were playing. The little side comments we would make to one another, which is why I text you so much during games.
Yes.
Because it's Katie would appreciate this. Jason will not. But Katie.
It's true. And we did learn from being in person that having these little side conversations out loud while our DM was talking about, he's giving this great big background story about this new character he just introduced, or he's telling about all of the visuals that we're seeing right now, and we're having this side conversation, he would get so irritated. Sometimes he would just stop talking, kind of like the teacher does when you're talking in class, and just wait. And then we would just stop.
Or we would break out in song over something he said. There's to the window. That scene, that was super fun.
It was great. And it provided so much happiness. But
yeah, it made you and I happy, but the DM was not happy.
And that's usually and I don't even remember how roll dice.
Yeah. And I don't even know if the dice actually did anything when he rolled. Because as a DM, I've totally I did this to you guys all the time last summer. I would just roll something as y'all were being annoying. And it would just freak you out particular. John and Chris did not care.
Those are some of the things that we miss. Is there anything else that you miss from playing in person?
I think I've gotten better at it over video, but was actually thinking about this before we recorded. You can read body language a lot easier when you're in person. So like, I think I know our group's going to laugh. I think I know actually Cyrus as a character better than the rest of the group. And it's not just because he's the other elf and he's my husband. It's also because I can see the body language Jason is doing when he's talking.
Yes.
So I miss that. I miss that aspect. I think it's easier to be in character when you know people are paying attention to your body language and they can see you.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself oftentimes like not staying in like my Feyre persona.
Yeah.
The entire time because I'll like fit in because sometimes it's just natural, right? One character ends up kind of taking the lead in certain spots and as they should.
No, absolutely. Going off of that, a struggle that I have that has only been, I think, a struggle since we started playing online is sometimes when it gets really late at night, I get tired and I will fall asleep. It's so frustrating. I'm one of those people where like my entire life, even if I'm talking to my best friend and we're having a sleepover, when I get tired, I'm just gone and they will keep talking.
Yeah, you just, I do. Your entire body just like shuts down. It's really funny to watch.
And I try it. I'm
it's
like
less funny
smiling.
when you're the DM,
I know.
honestly, because you're like, I spent hours making you this present.
And you're just squishing
and
it.
You're spitting on it.
We talked a little bit about playing in person versus playing online. Thought it might be kind of fun to talk about just briefly what some of the sites are that we use for playing online. I know we mentioned I think we did Roll20. That we use.
I think I mentioned like virtual tabletops, but
yes, you did. So use that. We used to use Google Meets, and
for our video.
Yes. Now we just use.
And then we used Astral.
Yes, that's what we used. I was trying to remember what it was before they shut down. Are they the ones that shut down?
They are the ones that shut down.
That's what I thought. Sometimes we still use Google Meet if we have issues with connection. But we will use Roll20 for...
it means Mandi. It's fine.
It happens. There's not a whole lot you can do when the universe just decides to just not let you do what you want.
The worst.
It is. Let's see. Our DM also uses Hero Forge. I mean, I'm like the only one who doesn't. But...
Hero Forge is fun.
It is. And that's where he creates all of the characters, all of our characters. He will make as well for us. And then he'll use, I don't know how he does it, but he uses them on Roll20. It's great. And he uses it for the NPCs, for the the BBEGs. It's great.
So I really like Hero Forge. I think it's a really great way to help us visualize characters. And it's a fun way to like, especially because we're doing it digitally.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the danger with painting minis is like you're stuck at one.
Yeah.
You can see the progression of your character, right? Mm-hmm. So Chris actually did a progression picture for me of Maeve, my character last campaign, and I have it as my desktop background. And it's fun to see like where she came from and like where she is now, because it's a completely different situation. So I think that's kind of a really cool benefit of just doing it digitally. There's more flexibility in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I hadn't thought about that before. The fact that if you are in person, you have your mini and it's the same stagnant mini the entire time. So that is very true. And there's just so much detail, which, I mean, you can print them off, and then paint the detail.
Oh, absolutely. Super cool.
But if you're not an artist or at least adept at it, then it might not look how you're imagining in your mind. So I love Hero Forge for that reason. We used D&D Beyond. We do We don't. We don't use the interface strictly because if we do, we do not get to use our fancy dice. And we all love our dice. So
dice goblins.
Dice goblins. There were a few more things that I thought was kind of fun that we do also use in addition to all of those. We use Facebook Messenger for in-game messages that are like secretive that no one else can know about. Or text messages. I guess this doesn't really go with playing online. This could be either or, whether you're in person or online, is we talk and banter during the week nonstop. And it's one of my favorite things. I absolutely love it. I feel like I could confidently say everyone else does too.
I mean, yeah. Like, of course I love that. I get to roast my husband most of the time. He's the person I'm making fun of. For those who, I can't remember if we've mentioned it in the audience, but my husband's character, Cyrus, is a Twilight cleric, and he has been on death saving throws 11 times since we started playing.
And it's not that he's not good at playing. He's just rolling terribly. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of like 2 times where I was like, that was a dumb idea, but I have dumb ideas in D&D all the time. So like, I don't know how I'm still alive. You know what it is? Because I hide behind him.
It is. It's exactly what I was going to say. It's because you hide behind Cyrus all the dang time. And then he gets squashed by the giant, massive boulder.
Hey, play smarter. Okay. So it's kind of fun to dig in a little bit more. And I think you get an opportunity as a player to dig in and also maybe be a little bit more mindful about what you're saying and how you're saying it. Maybe like wordsmith what you want to say a little bit more than word vomiting. And sometimes, you have to word vomit, but other times it's kind of fun to have a little bit of time to think things through. Like I have a little folder on my phone of like fun things I want to say as Farah at some point.
Oh, that's fun.
Like, will I ever get to say them? Probably not, but it's fun for me to like have there because it's also a way for me to develop her a little bit more off to the side. Then if it comes up, I have some really cool one-liners for when she kills people. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, I'm one of those people where I have all these things that I want to say, but I can't think of them in the moment. So then later on, I will have these little conversations with myself, whether it's like in the mirror, I'm doing my makeup or whatever.
Oh, I do that all the time.
All the time. I've done it with my entire life. And I come up with all these
it's like
one-liners.
when you're in an argument with somebody and then you replay it on the, like when you're driving, you're like, dang it, that would have been perfect. I've had so many, like I driving home from work one time years ago, I like had a full-on argument where I rage quit at the end of it as I was pulling in, and I was like, oh, that felt so good. And I didn't actually quit, but and there's also times where like I'll be this D&D obsession has just gone too far, but like I'll be working, be like piddling around in Excel, and then I'll be like, what does this mean? And I have like a thought of like a question that I want to ask a character. So I'll just like shoot it off really quick.
Yes.
And sometimes the DM will be like, and that has to wait until we're playing in game. And that's when I know like I hit something with that thought. Or it's a really fun time where the other character, like the other player gets to improv it. Right. Yes. And you're like, well, like that's happened a few times.
I also feel like when we talk as our characters through text message, it's usually, it's like always text message during the week that it allows for like extra RP that doesn't always happen, or maybe that we don't want to spend doing in game because there's so much of it and we want to spend, this session just murdering everything. Yeah. There's no other word for it.
I mean, we're very, I think we're less so this campaign, but like last campaign, we were just like, let's murder things. Another thing I was going to say is I feel like as a group, or at least you and I, we didn't really do accents.
No, we didn't.
Until we went digital. And I didn't do one really until this campaign, and it's actually been very helpful for me in differentiating as a character.
Yeah.
Simply because I work in a corporate environment, I'm talking all the time, and I'm having video chats all the time, because it's post-COVID world. This is just what has happened. And it's hard sometimes to not slip into that just normal everyday conversation voice.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun exercise for me to do an accent, especially when we're digital, because I don't have, the minis right in front of me. I don't have terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes my computer is a jerk and I, don't have access to other things. So having that accent does really help me, at least.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. And I feel like it helps. Going back a little bit earlier, we talked about how sometimes it can be a little bit difficult online playing to stay in character. So I think, it helps you stay in character like pretty much the whole time, or at least while you're talking, or, even if you don't have a specific accent per se, everyone has some kind of like a tone or a voice or whatever. Even if it's your same voice, maybe you talk a little slower.
I think playing digitally is absolutely fun. Do I prefer playing at the table? Absolutely. But this is great too.
It is great. And I'd even say whenever we do eventually get to go back together in person, we will. I'd like to meld the two together because there are so many things that I love about this. Okay, well, that about wraps things up. Whether you're on your way to work, cleaning around the house, kicking back and hanging out, or mindlessly scrolling on your phone, we're grateful that you've joined us. Follow us, subscribe, and share so you can be immersed in fantasy and hear our interesting spin on D&D and how you can have that in your D&D game as well. Tune in next week where we will finally have our Honor Among Thieves review for the movie. Well met, friends, and we will see you on the morrow.
Yay. Bye-bye.
Yay. Bye. Okay, stop recording.